It's very appropriate for the parashas that we're holding in. Last week's parasha with Yitzchak Avinu, before that we had Avram. This week's parasha, Aser, Kol Ma Shatitnei, Aser Asrenu Loch. Ram is sitting right in the middle of everything. But we have to understand, with Maaser Kesafim is something which, as much as it's mentioned in the Torah, is not mentioned in the Gemara. Beferish has any chiyuv to give Maaser geld. Not there. The Gemara discusses certain drushes more in Tainis Daf Tes, but really what we have to start first with, of course, is the psukim. Psukim in the Torah. Pasuk says, Parashas Rei, Kiyeh Bocha Evyoin, Miachad Echecho Bechad Shorecho. And Torah says, there's an ani, you should not be, you're not strengthen your heart, like sick boys, don't close your hand, give him the day machsori as much as he possibly could have and need for his causes. That's what you're supposed to give him. That's what the Torah says. Fill up the person's pockets for whatever else that he needs. Interesting Maaser, just to start, is not most of the b'dichusa b'alach l'Maaser. An interesting little story that we know. It says in Shulchan Aruch that even a ashir who shu b'derech and he doesn't have anything, so he's an ani. So I know someone who learns with a groiser gvir, velt gvir, and b'chavrusa, and he said that one time this young man said that he was learning with him, and they were learning there was a coffee machine. That there wasn't coffee just to get, you had to buy it, and a groiser gvir doesn't go with pocket change, and he couldn't buy coffee. Wanted a coffee. Mom was desperate for coffee. So this young manchik walks around change. So he bought him a coffee. He says the only time in his life was Mekayim Dei Machseri Hashayachshel, like but this gvir like it's Maaser Shoya, and he's right. He was ani ve'evin, 100 coffee. Buy him a coffee. So I hope he told that to him. He said, I don't even know if you ever Mekayim Dei Machseri Hashayachshel. But so that's a pasuk. Now there's other some sefer in the tshuva. Near Desim Reish Chav Tes, a half of the thing. He says, the Vadai Mashma Midin Torah, Kol Sheyesh Lo Parnosas Yoimoy, Tzorech Litein HaMoiser La'ani. Rak Chayav Koidmen. But our Kol Sheyesh Lo Dei Parnosas Yoimoy, Yitein Yeser Sharma Moni La'ani HaTzorech. That's the Torah. The din Torah is, you have money, someone else needs it, give it to him. This parsha. This week's parsha. That's some sort of a pashtus pasuk is that you're supposed to give everything you have away. So there's a takan of usha, and we have to know exactly. Maybe we'll see a little bit when that applies. Maybe you can go past that. As you do the Divrei Chaim about the Divrei Chaim Tzanz, he didn't sleep with money in his house, and didn't have a bank account. It was whatever he had, he gave. Such a thing, but the Pashas in Torah is nothing to do with Maaser. Maaser is a separate cheshbon. So before we talk about the Chomish, the purpose of Shiur is not to go into the specific what should I give to, what comes first, second. That there's so much to talk about, but a little bit just the general tzuras hadvarim of where Maaser comes from and what exactly we're supposed to how we're supposed to set it up. So the mitzvah of Maaser, like we know, is in the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says that the Shir Nesinasa is, if you're doing maseges, you can give, you think if it's tzorech haniyim. That's how he starts off. If you're doing maseges, give tzorech haniyim. Which is, again, a very important klal stam. The cook of the Torah of tzedakah is that if a person has the money and the person who comes to him is not asking him to empty his bank account, and he knows that person's not going to get it, but the person's asking for something, someone's standing by the candy machine, this type of thing, he wants to buy something, how much, what do you want to buy? He wants to buy a Reisman cookie. It goes $2. Give him $2. You give him kind of yesterday. He said, no, I'll give you one if you could afford it. He said, if you could afford it, you have to see kifit tzorech. V'mein yodem maseges kol kach yitin ad choymesh nechasav mitzvah men hamufcher ve'echad me'asor amida beinanis. So this lashon, which is needs to be understood, the Maaser. So let's look. The Rambam does in fact say in Hilchos Matnas Aniyim Perek Zayin that he goes through, he brings on the mitzvah of Maaser, like we just learned, And where did he get it from? So let's see. The Rambam, you have over here, it's by the obvious, we know it says by Avram Avinu, it know Maaser Mikol. Yitzchak, we have last week's Pasha, we use Yitzchak, we use Mashana, he may assure him, Rashi says he gave Maaser. This week's Pasha, Vaita. Zok the Rambam then in Hilchos Malachim, Perek Tes, and he says like this, he's talking about Shev Mitzvah B'nai Noach, Hayado B'chol Olam Ad Avram was Nistav Yosef Alamila, he's Mispal Shachris. Yitzchak was Mafresh Maaser, he skips Avram. For Hoysef Tefillah Cheres Mincha, Yaakov Hoysef Gid Anoshe, Mispal Arvis. So all these Shachris Chazal took from. He's saying straight out that they were second. He says he was Hoysef. They were Moisef no mitzvahs. Nistavi Yosef Amila Yitzchak Hifresh Maaser. Why didn't Chazal learn from Yitzchak Avinu? Why didn't from Yaakov Avinu? They learned the Dini Maaser from. Shachris Mincha Ma'av we learned from them. Maaser we don't learn from them for some reason. So it's an interesting thing that we don't have that. It's something which needs a pshat. It's something which we could think about why he didn't learn, why we don't learn from there. But Chazal did say in Tainis Daf Tes that Asa Ta'asa is Kol Tvaz Erecha, which they say Asa B'Shusha Tasashe. From there, that's one of the Mekoros that we have of Maaser Kesafim, giving a Maaser. So interesting. If we learn from there Maaser, how come? But same way by Maaser, there's a halacha of Maaser Tuas Haaretz, which the pasuk is talking about. If you didn't take off tempest, you didn't take off the Maasers, it's tevel. That much we don't learn, it seems, from the pasuk, that it's tevel. Maybe a person gets a paycheck, you can't use the paycheck until you give Maaser. Maybe there's such a thing that we also don't find. It's interesting how we sort of picked out, which I heard Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky used to tell his Rebbetzin. He got money, he said, it's tevel. He said they didn't use the money, he said it's tevel. They used to call the money which they weren't yet mafresh from, they called it tevel geld. So, but we know that we don't have that. We don't have in general that chumrah hasn't spread yet. But I'm saying, but it's something which is interesting. One place we do it once we're learning on this point where it does apply or where it could apply is when a person didn't yet reap his profit. Let's say sometimes there's money in the company which is now allocated to the person, or the stocks, which a person didn't yet harvest the stock. He didn't yet cash in on it. It's his. If he wants to, he could take any moment, push a button, the money's in his bank account. So he looks at his stocks, and he sees the stocks are up. Oh, how much should it go up? $100. Does he have to take out $10 out of his pocket now and be mafresh? Zelo metzinu. Why not? You have to tell too that I think there's a Shvus Yaakov much like this, that it's like Tfuas Haaretz. Until you harvest it, it's not yours. So here too, it's growing out of the ground. It's in my stock. It's in the company, but I didn't yet harvest it. I didn't take it as mine. It's not defined as mine to use yet. So that's why we're noyeg, from what I know, that people don't take off Maaser money when they see their stocks went up. Because they, for one reason, is because they haven't yet profited from it. Another reason, because you don't take off Maaser cheshbon every day. Since you look at the end of the year, every half a year, and you make a cheshbon. Chesed talks about it, and Rabbi talks about it. How often should you make your equations? That could be a general cheshbon. But that's another thing which we could learn out from the Mekor Adin of Maaser money, which is from, seems from the Gemara in Tainis, of Asa to Asa, that we learn from this halacha that you could compare it to some level of Trumas and Maasers. Also on this point, just bouncing in off this drasha, there's a shaila from the Noda B'Yehuda was asked, and this is a very common shaila. Probably all the time people wonder if they could do this. If they don't ask it, they still wonder if they could do it. And that is, person wants to give Maaser money ahead. He didn't even get his paycheck, but someone's asking for Maaser, so he'll take money which is already in his bank account, which he took off Maaser, and I'll give it, and I'll say, I'll take it with the chesh. When I get my paycheck, then I'll be able to take it off. So the Noda B'Yehuda has such a tshuva, and he says, this is from the halachos or amumos. So this is like an unclear halacha. Could you take off Maaser gel before you got the money? And many people do this because they want to give to something, but they don't have the Maaser money, and they're not going to give it if they can't take it off their paycheck, which is coming next week, or some business deal which they're hoping to make in the near future. So, but the Maaser, there is a maril that does say that the Rabbi Yehuda, one of his problems is because of it's doimit to asaretz. You can't to take off Maaser before you actually have it. You can't do it. A person can't take Maaser. Say, here I have all these apples. I'll just take off now. Next year I'm done. I don't be bothered with this. I'll just do everything now. For the next 5 years, I'll take off 100 times, and then I don't have to be worried about it. They don't do that. It has to be in your hand. So he's down with this comparison. The Maaser is a maril that says that the maril says that you can take off the Maaser even before in the faket. He encourages it. The maril, and the maril comes for that is the Noid Yehuda's in Kama. Yordei Kama Simonai Gimel, and he calls them Arochas HaAmumos. The Binyan Tzion is mistapik on this in Chelik Beis Simon Yud Gimel, and he discusses Barichos. In the Shulchan wants to compare to Maaserus of the two asarts in here Meshman Test of Zayin. But the Maaser after they don't bring this maril. There is a maril in Chuvas Simon and Dalid where he writes that Harbe b'nei Adam Yavoy Weslomaniim ve'ein lehem mois Maaser mezumen. They don't have money. As noisnin they give umalvim lehem umasnim, and they make a tanai beinam lebein atzmam. They make a tanai, and they say kishiyavichu b'mamoyin. When they make profit, that's the question that was asked to him. So on that, the Maril writes, he says, if a person compares it to Maaser Oretz, then he found, but Maaser Didan Meshubach v'Tovo lo'ibrocha ad b'lidai v'chein hamakdimoi. What we talked about before, also someone who's makdim is Maaser, he says Tovo lo'ibrocha ad b'lidai. Forget, you can give it off before. As I state the Maril. So agam that the Achronim, the G'dolei Achronim are mistapik in this Shiloh, but there is a Maril, it's chashut to know, that learns that you can. So it's not 100%. We see again, doimet the Maaser of Oretz. We learned it out from Aser to Aser, but it's not complete. We learn out from the psukim of the Gemara in Tainus, but the Maaser Tvua Zarecha is not completely comparable. So now let's talk a little about the midah of Maaser Gelt itself. Is it a chiyuv? Is it a abon? Is it a minig? Do you have to do it? You have to do it. Where does it stand exactly? This is a big discussion if it's daraisa or not. The Bach says in Yordei Shinam and Aleph in Ois Yutes, he says Ein LaMaaser Kesafim Iker. There's no makar loy midaraisa v'loy midarabanan ela minigu b'vad. As I state in the Bach that it's a minig.
The Rabbi just clarified in the Mechaber Aleph, we're talking about Chaimish.
Yeah.
That's then not din Maaser Kesafim, din tzedakah, and that would be a chiyuv. So when we say Maaser Kesafim being a reshus or a midah,
yeah,
that's a whole different din than the Mechaber. The Mechaber is a chiyuv, and the Mechaber is inchanami. When he speaks about Maaser Chaimish, he's talking about that midah.
Right, that's the question. He's talking about numbers, how much to give. He's saying how much. He says Maaser is mitzvah beininus, Chaimish mitzvah amuvcher, less than Maaser is ein ra. Right, that's on those words you're asking. Where do we fit those words?
Within the minhag, right, or was that within the chiyuv of the person to give?
Okay, so that would be. So there's two things. So I'm gonna get back to your question because we're gonna talk about two situations which a person is facing. And we're gonna get back to that. Mechaber is a very important mechaber. The Taz wants to say no, that's a chiyuv gomer. Different achronim. We can just quote names, but we want to get to a bit of an understanding over here. What is the discussion? It's interesting. As much as the achronim talk about if it's a minig or not, there's a Beferish Ramah in Hilchos Ribbis. It's not something Kavi B'chlal. Beferish much there, which I didn't notice any of them quote. The Ramah says in Simon Kufay in Zion in Sivchov Beis, whatever he's talking about over there. B'mokom shenoagu loseis Maaser mirevach hamois. B'mokom shenoagu loseis Maaser. It's Beferish Ramah that says that it was a b'mokom shenoagu. It doesn't say that it was a chiyuv. Because it doesn't even the Rabban or not. It's b'mokom shenoagu. Emphasis the Tumas had even before him. The Tumas Hadeshan already writes that it was a minig. The Tumas Hadeshan writes in Simon Shimon Beis, Misha rogil la'aser revachim shaloi. Someone who's rogil to give his Maaser. And other achronim that also say that This is Maril that says this is the Rabbanim Beferi. So we found in the Rishonim already, and the Chayim are grappling to understand what it is. Halacha l'Maaser, how the Chofetz Chaim tell us. He says a person before he starts giving Maaser should say that he's giving B'li Neder. So there is a Chofetz Chaim already that understands that it's a minig and it's not a chiyuv. So let's get back to that Shulchan Aruch again. That there's a minig, not a chiyuv, to take off Maaser, and that's what's good for Bar Mitzvah Bacher. Before he starts, he gets his Bar Mitzvah. He got his first his matanis as a Bar Mitzvah Bacher to take off Maaser. He said, "When I'm getting Maaser, it's B'li Neder." That's one place the Mishnah Berurah says B'li Neder, and also he says you say B'li Neder to what you're giving it to, which we're not talking about so much. Should you give it only to Aniyim? Could you also give it to Shar Mitzvahs? Person wants to give money, it's Maaser Geld to help the Eruv, or to build a mikvah, or something which is a mitzvah but not an ani. Which I sometimes say though, sometimes, if we think about it, these mitzvahs, they're aniyim. Let's say there's a yeshiva, and open up, they don't have a Rambam. A new yeshiva open up, there's no Rambam. So, wait a second. If we say that it's a mitzvah to give someone day machseira, which means he's used to hot bread, says the Gemara, you give him hot bread, fresh bread, you got to give him fresh bread. If he's used to a ani, eved loritz lefanov, he's used to a chauffeur, he's used to having an entourage, a nicer car, at least in the beginning, if he needs, he doesn't have the money for it, got to get it for him. So yeshiva, and pashut, that it's called day machseira mashayech salam, to get a Rambam. It's pashut. I put them on a Rambam. What's the issue with a Rambam? It doesn't make so it's not called Shar Mitzvahs. There are niyim for that thing which they have to get.
The choice between the yeshiva who needs a Rambam or a family can't pay the lecture.
Okay, so now that's a good question. What do you do then? So that we're going to get a little bit to this Shulchan Aruch.
Institution can be treated as a person. Let's say the
What?
institution is in the state of aniyas.
The Bachrim are in the state of aniyas. They don't have. If the Bachrim, that's it. They say there's no food for the Bachrim. So the person will get, there's no food, meaning not starving, not koch nefesh, but there's no whatever, there's no food. So every day it's hard-boiled eggs every morning with stuff like that. But they go bring the leftovers from the halls and so whatever. So what's the guns find food? I'm not saying, but whatever it is. So what do you do? That you gave, but there's no svarim. Nope, nicht gefährlich. So they'll manage. Whatever they'll say, tell them. I'm saying that's not. It's yeshiva. You have to have svarim. But the question is, people are going hungry. People don't have tuition. People don't have money to buy their children next pair of shoes. That's a big issue. So that brings us really to the discussion about choimish, because we know that choimish is the umatakin not to give more than a choimish. Al yivazis adam yosim a choimish, maybe he's going to come in ani. Big discussion in the achronim. What does that mean? You have a person who could afford to give amply berevach more than a choimish, and if he doesn't give more than a choimish, then the money is just going to get moldy. The mamish is too much money for him to spend. It's nothing to do with it. So it's might as well give it out. Okay, but is he mechuyev? Some the Mishnah Tzion, the Chaim Kodesh, and they learned that a pasha that Osher does not have the limit of choimish. When we say al yivaz yosim b'choimish, it's talking about somebody that if he's going to be mevaz yosim b'choimish, there's a chash that he's going to come to aniyas. But someone who has berevach gadol, choimish won't be a cheshbon. There are people that give 50% peshita. So, but that's gvirim, ashrei chelkom. But now let's talk about the general situation, and that's very important. And you saw this like a steer in the Rambam, the approach to this discussion of a choimish. Because at one point, Pirush HaMishnayos in Peah, which is in the beginning of Masechtas Peah, he writes that ein chayav lo seis yosim mechamishes memoinoi. Ele Moshe came and midas chassidus. Number one. V'amru nimnu ba'usha takanas usha. These adam mafresh choimish nechasav lemitzvah. Ubir ha'sheila hazu etzlikach. He says. He gives an example. Imra, other person sees shvuyim. These people that are captive. He has a mitzvah pidin shvuyim. Asher tziva Hashem. He sees people that are hungry, people that are rumim, they don't have clothing. Harihuta love lachila mulachasaysim. Like it said, Kol Moshe Omar Hashem, Dei Maaser Sheyachseloi. Koloimar. Sheyashlim Loi Kol Mashachaslo. You have to give him what he's lacking. And he's chayiv to be mashlim whatever they need to have. That's one place. So number one, he says until chaimish. But then Masha'enkin Hilchos Matnas Haniyim. This question is asked by all the Achrayim. Then Matnas Haniyim Perek Zayin he writes, "V'ba'ani v'shoal dei machsoira." He asks him, "Please give me all my needs." Then they anoisim aseges. So then what? You give him kifi asogas yodoi, which is what? Chamishes mitzvah muvcher. Mitzvah muvcher, he calls it. And then echad me'asor b'nechasav beinani, palchus mikan ayin ra. That's the Shulchan Aruch. The Rambam in Matnas Haniyim is the lashon of the Shulchan Aruch, but the Rambam in Bisham Mishnayis is much stronger. He says that you're supposed to give to a chaimish. So what do you do with this question? The Avos Chesed deals with it. The Birkei Yosef deals with this question. So the Avos Chesed, there's different two roots, but one thing is very boiled from the Rambam. Coming up from the Rambam is, first I'll say one test to Avos Chesed. When he says that it's a mitzvah and a mufchor, is you don't have money berevach. Meaning it's not easy. Some people, they want to give a chaimish, but they don't have berevach to give a chaimish. They do it, it's a push. They have to extend themselves, as they say. Maybe he won't be able to buy all the things that he wants to buy if he gives a chaimish nechasav enjoyments, that maybe better foods, better brands, let's say on type of food or types of clothing, that you have to go down a level. But he's pushing, he wants to give a chaimish. So it's a mitzvah and a mufchor, not mechuyev, you're allowed to have, if it's not out of the ordinary type of stam extravagant living. Ma she'enkin the Rambam but he says it's a chiyuv, when a person berevach, like we said, can give a chaimish, you mechuyev. This is one of the mekayres, that a person who's able to give a chaimish, and it's not a problem, is mechuyev. It's not b'chlal pashut that a person who's a gvir says, and he says that he gave his Maaser already, he's not very nice, and now I'll take the second Maaser. If he comes to I gave my Maaser already. Okay, so you have another plenty in mind, no problem, I'll take the other half. That's what will come out of this. However, there's another pshat, and that is, look at closely what the Rambam is talking about. When the Rambam says it's a chiyuv, he says, in front of you there are hungry people, and there are people that don't have proper clothing, and there are people that are shvuyim, then you're mechuyev to give until a chaimish. More than a chaimish, you have to worry about yourself. But until a chaimish, you're mechuyev. The people they don't have. Masha'enke, what does he say the case is in the Matnas Haniyim? Ba'ani v'shal de machsoiroi. When he comes to him and asks de machsoiroi, he doesn't say it's talking about a destitute situation that the Rambam was talking about in Pesha Mishnayis. He's talking about a situation. A person says, "I need help with something. Can you help me out? I'm missing. I don't have some basic needs." A person comes and says, "But Moshe, a person comes. I don't have my electric bill was shut down. They shut off my water. They shut off my heat. I don't have. They took away my car. I don't have anything. They don't give me food on credit in the grocery anymore, and there's no food stamps." So what do? I'm stuck. I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to wear. It's cold in my house. That Rambam says a person is mechuyev to chaimish. You can't just ignore that. That's Fidu Rambam. This is what we call about Fidu Rambam, the mashmois of the Rambam. Masha'en came when he says this din of what the Shulchan Aruch says, mitzvah amuvcha to chaimish, and it's a beinani to Maaser. So that is talking about a situation where it's more of a it's a situation where it's not a hecher, either you can't afford it, like the Avos Chesed said, or it's not something which is a compelling reason that I have to give a chaimish. If you don't have it, you don't have it. I'm giving a Maaser. I'm going to be beinani. But that's the chiv. So we're talking over there not so much about the general din of Rosh Maaser. The general din of Rosh Maaser is talking about a person gets money, ani, not ani, someone here, not someone there. I'm taking off Maaser, putting it in a side bag, side envelope. And when the ani comes, I have this money ready for him. I'm not going to spend it on myself. I'm going to give it away. I'm going to put it in a bank account. That's the minig of Maaser. The minig of Maaser is talking about, well, regardless of the situation in front of me, I'm taking off Maaser and I'm waiting to give it. Before this minig, if a person does not keep this minig of Maaser, What happens is that when a situation arises and someone knocks on his door, says, "I have a problem. I need help. I can't fix my car. I can't get to work." So then you say, "Oh, you can't fix it. You can't get to work." No, they're going to fire me. Yesterday I was busy with it. Today they say, "Don't come today to work," and I have to drive. There's no buses there. The person's in a serious situation. If you can give a chaimish or go into your chaimish to help him out, mechuyev to help him out, or but to ignore it completely, you can't ignore it. There's a chiyuv to give tzedakah to the man if you're going to do it. So we're dealing with here three situations. One situation is that a person that's in the mitzvah bacher. No one's coming to him to ask him for money. He doesn't know what. He just has money. So you take off 10%, you put aside. We'll start thinking where to put it. Then you have a situation. What? Okay, so today, nowadays, right? So nowadays, though, I was going to get to that. Then nowadays, the situation is that really it's kaimei aniyim, because there's always, first of all, because that's the metzias in the world. Every yom yikerev oris says in the Torah already, but that there could be someplace. But now they're around. There's the way the world is. That there's always people that need, and also because the way our world works, you're always made aware of the aniyim that are around. Either coming in shul, or they're coming to the door, or there's pamphlets, or there's all types of advertisements, all the things constantly going around of needs. So therefore, really, it would come out then that Maaser would be a midah beininus, not a chiyuv, because it's only a midah beininus. A person does not give Maaser, just says einoi ra, doesn't say he's over on anything. So it would be that he has to give something. But there would always be a place but the Maaser money is gonna have to go. So it's never. If you learn that Maaser is a minig, then a person could say, "I want to be ayin ra. I want to be we'll call it cheap. I don't want to give it's not nice, so I'm not nice. I don't want to give more than a mice, more than a chaimish." And it happens more than Maaser. As a matter of fact, it's an amazing thing just to point out what this was. It used to be in times that there wasn't such a strong thing giving Maaser. Maaser actually used to be a bit of a chiddush almost. You find in the Chavas Shiur and Shimon Reish Chav Daled, Ilu haya peldik aloshin today. I mean akshadara. Ilu haya midrabanon. If it would be a drabanon to give Maaser, lo haya yisrael kedoshim akilim ba, at sharak echod meir v'shnayim mishpachin is harim ba. Chavas Shiur writes that, and then Bikei Yosef writes. So he says that it wasn't common. Today, it's minig Yisrael Kadishu that people give Maaser geld. They give Maaser. Someone doesn't give Maaser, and it's trickier. A person who makes a lot of money has to be more on top of his cheshbonis that he's giving the Maaser. Because a person could give a lot of money and he didn't hit the Maaser because his Maaser is very big. It's in a certain way harder because a person made $1 million and he has to give a chaimish $200,000. It sounds like there's nothing left for me. I just gave $200,000 away. I'm going to go poor. I did 800. So the Maaser, it's a big number. A person made $1,000. He has to give $100. It sounds smaller, but the equations are the same. So the Maaser, we give Maaser, we give out Maaser. So we have over here a situation which comes out of kaimei aniyim. But if an ani comes, a person's aware, or like we were speaking about before, what do you have yeshiva? The two people come to the door. What do you want? The yeshiva doesn't have a Rambam. What's the yeshiva on a Rambam? We only have half a shas. It's a shver Maaser. We start a yeshiva. We don't have svarim that we need. Okay, what do you have? Let's say it's 3 people. The other person says, I'm making chasana in 3 months. So what? So we help out. You didn't make a chasana. What do you? Let's go and go. I'm trying to get what I can. It's my 4th one in 3 months. I need a lot of help. Okay. If you have multiple shidduchim and 4 chasanim in the house, so it's big work. It's okay, fine. And you are coming out. I don't know electricity. It's 14 degrees outside. Electricity. No, they shut down my electricity. And I don't have budget, so I need to get it started again. So what do you do? Big question. So the electricity has a stucco. The situation is extreme. You need to be the other person. One's a burning situation right in front of you. You say, there's no Rambam. I don't know. But if it's pikuach nefesh, you have to get pikuach nefesh. But the point is that when you're dealing with a burning situation, you have to put out the fire. The case of the Rambam is not a realistic case; doesn't happen. The case of electricity, unfortunately, is real. People living in their cars, so it's a real. So you have to be the chacham. Then we get into the whole story of kadima. But I think what's being disbarred over here a little bit more is this situation that we have a few points. Number one, in the Torah, let me make a quick summary now of what we've been speaking. The Torah does not talk about numbers. The Torah says one thing: don't hold your hand closed. Give the person what he needs. That's tzedakah. The Chaim Sofer minat Torah, you're not supposed to have money left in your pocket. No saving up. You have something left for the end of the day, give it. That's the Torah. The mataken, a cap on the money. He said, I guess, Chacham Akudom minat Torah b'shev al taisa, you have to say. He said, Ad kan. I'm going to chomish, then we're going to end up probably, we're going to give away all their money. So fine. That's minat Torah. After that came a minig, which we etzem started from the Ovis HaKadoshim, the concept of Maaser, which for some reason Chazal did not take that and make it a takana, the fee, our sheet is. They go like we saw Bach holds the fee the Bach sheet. The Taz said it's a takana mamish, like the Ovis, the taka takana. But one a takana or a minig, but that's something to give Maaser or mitzvah namur for chomish, or maybe even a chiyuv chomish when it's aniyim lefanecha. But that is something which is the regular takana of Maaser or minig of Maaser is to give off no matter what. Put it aside. That's the minig. After that, if it only comes in front of you, then a beinani will give up to the Maaser. So since it's kaim aniyim, so basically the din of Maaser is something which became a standard minig that we have. So that would be be'emes din tzedakah, which is in the same Sif in Shulchan Aruch, I believe. He says, you have Shulchan Aruch? It's Reish Mem, I think it's Reish Mem Tes. When he puts it down, he says, Reish Mem Tes, Shiur nisinasa, im yodam haseges, kvitzor chanim. Im ein yodam haseges, then he goes, chomish, mitzvah namufcher, amid the beinus is Maaser, less than that's ayin ra, and then he goes on and he says, the next sif, lo oilam lo yimna adam atzm mipachos mishlishis hashekel. That's within tzedakah. So be'etzim the Shulchan Aruch is stelling avek over here the shiurim of tzedakah, not the shiurim of Maaser. It's not a sif in Maaser geld. This is a sif in tzedakah geld. The tzedakah geld, when aniyim come, so the tzorach aniyim, meaning aniyim are coming to you, so you give these amounts, which is ayin toiv, ayin bein, ayin ra, but whatever it is, a person should give at least a shlish shekel in the year for tzedakah. But it doesn't talk about Maaser geld. It's not talking about it. Maaser geld is something which is the minig, what we have. That's one thing that would clarify what's going on in this sif. But definitely what we learn from here in general is the outlook is that not when something comes up, a person has to make a shikol. There's so many things that go on. It's true, but sometimes if this is a need, which is an immediate and a burning need, so he has to jump in and try to do what he can to if he could do Dei Machseirei. The reason why we don't do Dei Machseirei today is because of a sif in Reish Nun, I believe, that says that that's a sigya of Dei Machser Shiach Saloi, and we say that when you have a few people that could join in and do it together, so then you have to give them Machser because that's someone else. But you say, okay, I hear there's a medical operation needed for this person. It costs a lot of money. It's private. They don't have private insurance, and it's a mamash pikuach nefesh. You have to take care of it. Okay, how much is the operation? $50,000. To come to the first person, he has to write a $50,000 check. No, because he says, I know you're going to go to 15 other people that are capable of helping out in a nice way, and together we're going to help out. But what happens if they went already everywhere and they come to the last gvir and they listen? It costs $50,000. We've been spending a week on this. We've been knocking on doors, making asifas, probably meaning that we got to $41,000. We need another $9,000. And then tickets to fly. We need another $15,000. We don't do it. It's a big problem. You can help us out. So he says $15,000. I don't give to one person $15,000. I have a thing to medical. I always tell my secretary, medical 1,000. Chasnas 1,500. Younger man 2,000. That's how I work. Send in an email, get back, call to. That doesn't work like that always. So Ashrei Chalkov had to do that. They reach everybody. It's an unbelievable system. But there's no question. First of all, people get through the chimney. They get them. They find them personally. But the Maaser. What do you do with this situation? He says, the Agri doesn't say that. You got to go ahead and you got to give him the $15,000 check, because Dei Machsari says there's nobody left. You have the mitzvah deraisa, not just of tzedakah. For Dei Machsari, it's a very important chiluk of mitzvah tzedakah. So I hope this clarifies a little bit. There's so much to learn, but when you have this in perspective, it helps us understanding Maaser minig. Maaser, which is when you're giving tzedakah, there's such a thing as Maaser, and then you have choimish, which is a mitzvah and a mufchar. Sometimes a chiyuv, sometimes it's a chiyuv because of what's in front of you, and sometimes it's a chiyuv because of what you have in your bank account. It could be the Fidarama. If it's in front of you on Aniyim Arumim, it could be you got to spend up to the choimish to help them out. Feed one shot in the Rambam. Otherwise, if a person is a grace of gvir, so a lot of Achronim learn not only is the choimish, even more. Ramosh doesn't say that. Ramosh finds he holds that there was matik takon even for an usher. Till a choimish, al yivazah is yoiser. But the Rishnatziyin and the Yavitz are thinking more. They learn that if a person is an usher, he should give more. And you have a lot of reasons to give one a choimish. If it's for Torah, if it's for tshuva, there's a whole list of reasons when a person could give even more. At the Chassam Sofer said, "When Torah, there's no gvul." So besides before the takana. So Be'ez Hashem's barach, we should always be giving tzedakah and Shalom Yisrael.
Huh? So Balka Acher, does that mean the first